Did anyone order a Chinese? So a couple of days ago, while doom scrolling TikTok, I came across a video of a British girl opening up and sharing her Chinese carry-out order. I'm sorry, Chinese takeaway order.
Did anyone order a Chinese? Got a Chinese. I've been craving a Chinese, or next Chinese order. I was about a Chinese.
And I probably stared into my phone deeply for like 15 minutes as the video replayed itself because, damn.
We've got salt and pepper chips, chicken balls, curry sauce. Oh my God, I am so excited.
Almost everything I saw in the video was completely foreign to me, and I kind of became hell-bent on wanting to try these foods. So I asked some of y'alls from across the pond to DM me your favorite Chinese takeaway orders and got like a ton of different results, right? You guys are an eclectic bunch. I got a bunch of Chinese dishes, like real Chinese dishes. I got a bunch of things that I was familiar with, and then a section of other items that I just have zero idea what they even are. I've never tried them in my life or even heard of them until now. So of that little unknown sector, I've chosen 4 dishes that are, seemingly popular that I've also never heard of. So we're gonna make them from scratch, then I'm gonna compare them, give them a taste test, and see how they stand up to the stuff we have here in the US. I wanna clear some things up here at the top. What we're talking about today is not Chinese food in the traditional sense. It's a story as old as human migration. The food that we're talking about today is a version of Chinese food and techniques that Chinese immigrants cleverly adapted to meet Western tastes. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means things are 1, usually on the sweeter side, 2, definitely more mild, less spicy, and 3, more often than not, deep fried. It's not to say that this style of food isn't its own thing. It definitely is its own unique thing, but it's sort of like the Western world's Waluigi to China's Luigi, if you feel me. That's gotta be a lawsuit. Chinese Luigi, they're already dealing with that every day. It's totally a similar thing here in the US too. Where do you think crab rangoon came from? They were invented in California in the 1950s. General Tso chicken was invented by a Chinese chef living in New York. Fortune cookies, again, California, San Francisco. And orange chicken, you know it, you absolutely love it. It was invented by Panda Express. Crazy. So when it comes to Western Chinese food, trust me, you're not gonna find orange chicken or salt and pepper chips with curry sauce in Beijing. Speaking of sauce.
Got 2 curries and a sweet and sour, because I can't just have one sauce.
Whether you're in the United States having Chinese takeout or in the UK eating Chinese takeaway, sauce is very important. But in the UK, they do something a little weird, a little different than we are used to here in the US, and that's curry sauce. In the UK, curry sauce is big. Curry in general, Indian curry is big. There's a whole legacy of colonialism. This dish is actually kind of like a spiral of colonialism between like the Chinese in Hong Kong and the Brits in India and all that stuff, but we won't get into it. What we are gonna get into is the curry. So very simple, little Earl in your dang pot, onions. We're gonna also add our garlic. And a pinch of salt, kind of help that all wilt down. And then we're just gonna sweat this down a little bit. Looks like our garlic and our onions are translucent, kind of sweat down a little bit. We're gonna add everything else. This is a little bit of curry. We're gonna pop that in. A little bit of shugs. Just gonna kind of stir that in, let that curry powder kind of activate and toast a little bit. Oh, and I should mention, obviously these aren't my recipes, right? I know nothing about British Chinese food, but I looked up a lot of different recipes from different chefs and creators from the UK, sort of from all different walks of life, chose a bunch of recipes, and that's what we're making today. And if you're interested in kind of learning how to make this stuff, I'll leave those recipes in the description below. Soy sauce, a little bit of vinegar, chicken stock. I'm gonna do a little bit of black pepper, pinch of kosher salt. We're gonna let that come up to a boil, reduce it down a little bit. All right, so we need to get a little thicker here, so we're gonna make a slurry with cornstarch and a little bit of water. And basically on contact, this is going to thicken our sauce a little bit, so. Look at how viscous that turns right away. Curry sauce.
Stunning.
All right, so we just made our curry sauce. Next on the docket is sweet and sour. No matter where you are in the US or in the UK, this is kind of like the quintessential Chinese sauce, right? Starts with some ketchup, classic Chinese ingredient. Just kidding, but maybe. China's a big country, who knows? A little bit of tomato paste. Now we need the sour. Got some rice wine vinegar here. Now we need the sweet. Shugs. A lot of it. Gonna dissolve that in a bit. All All right, we just talked about it. We're gonna make an other slurry. Whisk that around, bring that up to a ball. And to kind of give it that like sweet and sour look, you know when you look in the sweet and sour sauce and it's just like got those like little specks and like spiggles of like flake? Pretty sure that's chili flake. So we're gonna add some of that in. And you already know the most important ingredient, the GP. Just a little bit. The other last ingredient, pinch of kosher salt for good measure. Curry sauce, sweet and sour sauce. Now we need Chinese mustard. A prime example of kind of like, you know, this whole cross between Chinese and British cuisines and cultures. Using a classic English mustard powder, which we're gonna add into our container. Rice wine vinegar, soy sauce, pinch of salt. Then we'll just mix that around. Very important with mustard because it's so bitter. So you do need some sugar or honey, for example, to kind of like offset things. All right. One thing that's important about mustard though, you want to let it sit overnight in the fridge to kind of like temper out and mellow out, because not only is it strong and punches you in the face and the sinuses specifically, but it's a little bitter. Let this sit in the fridge for a couple hours, better yet overnight, and it's gonna kind of like tone down, mellow itself out, and turn into like a really delicious savory mustard. That's perfect for dipping anything into, from crab rangoons to chicken bowls. Sauce is done. Let's get on to the entrees. All right, shrimp or prawn toast. This is a super popular dish that actually started in Hong Kong, was made by people living in Hong Kong at the time, selling food to British people living there because the Brits colonized Hong Kong back in the day. It became really popular and it was eventually brought back to the British Isles, where it, you know, is still popular today. It starts with shrimp. In the UK, they might use prawns, or you might use shrimp and call it prawn toast, shrimp toast, whatever. There are some slight differences between shrimp and prawn, but more or less they're very, very similar. So this is actually a pretty cool technique. I'm gonna use my cleaver to smash these shrimpies into a paste. And if you don't have a shrimp splatter all over your ceiling and the ground, you didn't do it right. I'm just gonna run through it one more time with my knife. Look at that, we don't even gotta get the food processor dirty. It's already quite sticky, but we're gonna add a couple things to it to make it more flavorful and even more sticky. Starting with a little bit of sugar, a little bit of sesame oil, not too much. Toasted sesame oil, very strong. Shrimp, very mild. Be careful with the sesame oil. A little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of white pepper. This is not black pepper. It's a little different. For me, it always kind of reminds me of seafood, so I'm happy to put it in some shrimp. To stickify the whole thing even more, cornstarch. Cornstarch is a very popular ingredient today. And we're gonna do an egg white. All right, am I missing anything? I don't think so. So now for the preparation of the toasticles, we have some good old fashioned white bread. So we're gonna take some shrimp paste and we're just gonna spread that all over the dang toast. Okay. All right, so we got our little prawn toasticles here. So we're just gonna pop these face down in our seedage and really coat the shit out of them. Look at that. Wonderful. So I'm gonna drop that in face down. Remember, look how sticky that is. Look at that, by the way. It's not coming off. Nice textural contrasts going on here. We like that. Okay, on to the next one. Next up, chicken bowls.
Chicken bowls are my favorite thing about a Chinese.
This dish was probably developed as a response for the British and American love for all things battered and deep fried. A chicken ball is exactly how it sounds. Actually, no, it's not. I don't know what a chicken ball is, just a weird name for something. I was very shocked when I first heard it. I think of basketballs, I think of footballs, American footballs, I think of, yeah. All right, so we're gonna make a quick batter here, starting with our flour. Pop that in. We got ourselves some cornstarch, which is gonna give a nice glassy, crispy exterior. You know all about that. A little bit of salt, baking soda, and then just straight up water. Whisk that all around. This chicken has been marinated in a little bit of black pepper, a little bit of cornstarch. I think there's like an egg. Like I said, recipes below, this ain't mine, but it will yield an authentic British chicken bowl. This is just white chicken breast. You could totally do this with chicken thigh if you're a dark meat person. All right, so we fried these off once. As you can see, they're super pale, just starting to get cooked through. Matter of fact, they feel pretty done, but they're not as crispy as we need them to be, and that's because all of that moisture will accumulate on the exterior. The second fry will cook that moisture off, yielding a super crunchy, crispy exterior, which is why you always double fry. The cool part about the second fry is that you can kind of just like throw a massive batch in and just cook them until they're nice and golden brown. Say hi, bud. Muy pretty. Pinch kosher salt. Oh yeah, listen to that. All right, and it's on to the next one. Salt and pepper chips.
Absolutely love salt and pepper chips, especially the little chilies.
Okay, so in the UK, they call French fries chips, and our chips they call crisps. A little confusing, but whatever. Can you get potatoes yourself, cut them up and make little cute chunky little chips? Absolutely, it will take a little longer. However, chances are, even at your favorite restaurants with your favorite French fries, they use a frozen fry, right? And they always turn out really, really good, so I'm a huge proponent of frozen fries. And of course, here in the United States, we have those longer, skinnier French fries, but we also have a variety that we call steak fries, which are a little more, I don't know, like British chip adjacent. So that's what we're going with today. You know how we do. Fresh up out the fryer, no matter where you're from in the world, you salt your food. All right, fries done. Let's hit the wok. Oil in a super hot wok. You can see the wok is smoking, the oil's about to start smoking. Onions, green bell pepper. Little pinch of salt. Garlic, lots of it. Red chili. All of our fries. I'm sorry, chips. Then we're gonna go in with some white pepper, Chinese 5-spice, black pepper, and a little bit of chili flake. Sorry, a lot of chili flake. We'll pop these in a bowl. These are our salt and pepper chips. Spiced fries with stir-fry vegetables. Seems like a good idea to me. Crispy chili beef.
Crispy beef, obviously.
This is just some flank steak that I froze slightly, sliced super thin into these cutesy little strips here, and then marinated overnight in soy, sugar, sesame oil, and 1 egg. Now, we cover them in starch, and guess what? Fry them. You can start to see there's kind of a through line here with the frying. Cool little technique here, according to our guys at School of Wok. This is an excessive amount of starch. We got some cornstarch, and I ran out of cornstarch, so I added some potato starch and rice flour. It's gonna do the same thing, starchy stuff. We're just gonna take our beef, pop it in this enormous amount of starch, and just toss it around, and eventually the pieces are going to just kind of separate from one another, and it's kind of a foolproof way of really making sure that your beef is fully coated. Like, look at that. Look at that piece right there. That is exactly what we want. You know what, guys, I have an idea. I really want to make sure most of our starch is off, so I'm just gonna shake as much as I can off and then put them in this thing and see what we got. Look at that. We're panning for beef. Another interesting thing, they call cornstarch corn flour in the UK. Kind of crazy, right? Just like, what is it? Aubergine is eggplant, rocket is arugula, rocket, which is, by the way, why don't we call arugula rocket here in the States? That's like a way doper name. All right, all right, all right. All right, we have our tray of dusted buff. Let's fry it. Pop that in there for our first fry. Second fry, all at once, super hot oil. Cook them till they look nice and crispy. Woo! And we are not going to put salt on these because we are about to hit the wok. Ripping hot, smoking, oil in, ginger and garlic, red chili. Oh yeah. Oh yes! Black vinegar, dark soy sauce, young chup, just some ketchup, a wee bit of honey. Thicken things up nicely too. Mix that all around till it's nice and thick. All right, reduce that down oh so gently. Sauce looks nice and thicky in with our beef. And, of course, a little pinch of GP, God particle, MSG, just over the top. And we're just gonna stir this all together and coat the beef in that sauce. And because it's so crispy, it should take the sauce well, whilst maintaining some of its sturdiness. Nice. It's time to dish up.
Oh my God, I'm so hungry.
All right, we are dished up. Starting with our chicken bowls over here, moving through to our shrimp toast, salt and pepper chips, and crispy chili beef. And you can't forget the sauce. We have our curry sauce, we have our sweet and sour, and our Chinese mustard. This is a feast. This is quite the smorgasbord we got here. I'm gonna start with the crispy beef. I'm gonna go plain Jane first off here, just to kind of get a taste for it. Actually crispy. I wouldn't say like classically crispy. It's not gonna give you that glassy crunch, but that outer coating of starch helped the sauce kind of cling onto it. It's like saturated, but it's not too much. It's slightly spicy, it's rich. A little squeeze of lime might be really good on there. Otherwise, kind of reminds me of like Mongolian beef sans broccoli. You know, I do love those little like saturated pieces of broccoli though, but I mean, that's great. I'll take crispy beef all day. Okay, I'm curious about these. These are the salt and pepper chips. That looks like a pretty balanced bite. Stir-fried vegetables on fries, chips. Pretty good. Thing about these, they're not the crispiest, but I almost don't really care. I mean, think about it. You order this for takeaway, takeout, whatever. It's gonna come to your door, kind of soggy. If these things are sitting in a box steaming for 30 minutes when they travel from the restaurant to your house, like they're not gonna be crispy, but honestly, they're not bad. It's kind of like a softer potato situation in the mixed vegetables, but those spices and all those different unique aromatics from the 5-spice and all that white pepper, which I just like love white pepper, especially with like Chinese food. Big important spice in that cuisine. It just works pretty well. I was expecting not to like those as much because I thought they just would sog off and like, they would sog off. I thought they'd sog off and just like become kind of gnarly, but if you think of this as more of a potato dish and less of like a crispy chip, French fry, whatever situation, it's pretty good. Kind of super stoked about this. I think I said this earlier, but how could that be bad? Like crispy white bread, the outside is crisp, the inside is kind of gooey and white with that classic processed white bread situation. A seasoned like shrimp, which is like not too heavy on it. All this sesame from the sesame oil and these crunchy sesame seeds on top. It's good. You know, it's like, this is kind of like the perfect little like finger food, I would say. I understand why people dig this. Smashing. I gotta say, so far 3 for 3. All right, this leaves us with our last dish. Chicken bowls. These are fun. I feel like they might be a little better tossed in like a sauce, maybe like an orange chicken sauce or something, but they're bare bones and I think you can, you know, dip them whatever sauce you want. Like I said though, I'm gonna go bare bones first. Where I'm from, we call these nuggies. Like honestly, fried chicken, what do you want? It's like a little tempura-like fried chicken. The chicken's moist and juicy because we marinated it overnight. I think this definitely needs a sauce. And I can't help but to try this curry sauce. Curry Chinese food. Okay, now it's Indian food. Like, I didn't grow up in the UK, obviously, but you know, it's fried chicken and it's curry sauce. And to me, straight up one way or the other, none of those things are really Chinese. Are they good? Yeah, I'd be like a crazy person not to say fried chicken's not good, but is it Chinese? I mean, dip it in a sweet and sour sauce or a spicy mustard and maybe, but I don't know. It's kind of whatever, but it is fun to say, chicken bowls. Speaking of, last thing we gotta try, a little of the spicy mustard and a little of the sweet and sour. Just gonna split our little nugget here. Whew. Oh, it's still happening. Oh my. I'm into that. Oh, yes. All right, so all this is good and fine and delicious on its own, but if we want to do this the authentic way, we gotta slop it up.
Put sweet and sour on first. Stunning. And curry sauce. Oh my God, I am so excited.
Here it is. This looks absolutely gorgeous.
Sloppin'. Oh, I love chicken balls, they're my favorite.
Chicken balls are my favorite thing.
Something is just so often wrong about this, but I'm also excited. All right, let's just get a bit of everything, all right? Beef, chicken, chip. Christ. Don't look at me. I have sinned. All right, that's a wrap. British Chinese food. If you have a favorite dish and you're from the UK, comment it below, would love to know. Best way to support us is over on the Patreon. 5 bones a month gets you a bunch of extra stuff, and you know, doing this, cooking 3-4 dishes from scratch and testing and all that stuff does cost money, so if you can financially support the channel in any way possible, we would really appreciate it. But if not, that's totally fine too. Come say what up in the Discord, come introduce yourself. We're talking about life, we're talking about shrimp toast. We're not talking about shrimp toast, but you could start that conversation. If you like the video, like the video. If you're new to the Chansky, subscribe to the Chansky. If you're not new to the Chansky, I'm trying to like channel my inner Captain Price. Welcome back, McTavish. That's all I got for you this time, so until next. Cheerio.